Minister Vickram Bharrat just walked in.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Please take a seat so we can start the program here. I'm delighted to have you. It's actually in this short notice, I did not quite expect that everyone that I reached out to will say yes. And I think this Guyana buzz is working. So I'm grateful to all of you to have joined us today. We have a great panel today, and I'm going to have John Hauser, who is our moderator today, maybe go through each one of the panel members' names. And then John is going to initially ask a few questions. They're all generic, general questions so that people don't have to repeat, and because we have limited time. And once the briefing is done, and he's going to pose these questions to each individual here on the panel, and you will get to know basically the basics of Guyana, what's happening there. And then, of course, we will open the forum to every one of you to get opportunity to ask specific questions. And thank you again for joining us. John?
Thank you. On behalf of Guyana Global Development and the Apex Group of Companies, I want to extend our great appreciation for each and every one of you being here today. This is a very exciting time for Guyana, and I think it's a very exciting time for people who have an interest in doing business in Guyana. We're honored today to have with us a group of people that can give a tremendous amount of information very quickly about the opportunities that exist in the country. First, I'd like to thank our U.S. Ambassador to Guyana, Sarah Ann Lynch, for being here. We appreciate it. And the Minister of Natural Resources for Guyana, Mr. Vickram, Bharrat.
Thank you.
The CEO of the Guyana Office of Investment, Dr. Peter Ramsaroo. The DCM for the Guyana Embassy to the United States, Mr. Zulfikar Ali. And Paul Chung is the chairman of the private sector commission.
Yes.
Commission. So what we have done in the past is go around the room and everybody say a little bit about what they do, but I don't really think that we have the time to do that. So I encourage each and all of you to introduce yourselves when you ask a question, and I'm sure that you will have many. If you look at Guyana, is in a transformation from a developing country to what more than likely will be the highest per capita GDP country in the Western Hemisphere in a span of 15 to 20 years. And that is significantly impacted by the discovery of oil offshore, but they have so many other opportunities in country to offer companies that are looking to develop in that country. They are, and I'm sure many of these things are well known to you, but they are the only English-speaking country in South America, which makes them particularly well suited for development from the United States. They have abundant resources, natural resources ranging from minerals to metals to agricultural products, and each and every one of those create opportunity for companies in the States to go and explore and invest money. The topic of this discussion is investment in Guyana, and we'll talk about some of the opportunities that relate to that. But first, if you would, Minister Bharrat, speak a little bit about Guyana and how it is that we come to be here.
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right, thank you, John, and good afternoon, Ambassador, Mr. Hassan, Mr. Peter, Dr. Peter Ramstrup, who is our Chief Investment Officer, Mr. Sham Nakhtar, who is the Vice President for the AmCham Group, that's the American Chamber of Commerce, is also here with us. We have Mr. Bobby Gosai, who is a Senior Petroleum Officer at the Ministry of Natural Resources, as well as Mr. Martin Patab, who is the Director for the recently established Local Content Secretariat at the Ministry of Natural Resources. Let me say how happy we are to be here this afternoon with you to discuss opportunities in Guyana, investment opportunities. That is why our private sector is here too. We have, I think, a few of them around at the back. And they too are looking for opportunities. They too are looking for partnerships, for joint ventures to form themselves into consortium. Because we have so many opportunities in Guyana, but we do have our challenges too. We have found so many or so large deposits of oil offshore Guyana. We have so many other natural resources, but it comes with many challenges. One of the biggest challenges we have in Guyana right now is the access to capital, and that is why we are reaching out to American businesses especially to partner with us. And we're better than Houston being the oil capital of the world because we need assistance, we need support, we need investment to develop the sector to its fullest in the shortest possible time. We say that mindful that maybe fossil fuel will not be in demand as it is today in another 20 years from now. So that is why we are on this move to extract our natural resources, especially oil and gas, as fast as possible and use the resources to develop our country, especially our education and health sectors, to develop our infrastructure, and also to create incentives for the non-oil sectors, because we believe those sectors will keep our economy going for a very, very long time into the future. And those are the sectors that mostly our people, Guyanese, are employed in. Because these are sectors, mining, for example, forestry, agriculture, tourism, construction. These are the sectors that create the bulk of the employment for our people. These are the areas where our people are more trained to work in, other than the oil and gas sector. Besides from that, having said that, the other challenge we have in Guyana in managing the oil and gas sector is our capacity. Oil and gas is new to us. Our discovery was made in 2015. 7 years after, we are producing at 250,000 barrels of oil as of today. In another 2 or 3 months from today, we will be moving up to 350,000 barrels per day. This is only with 2 FPSOs. We already have 4 licenses issued to ExxonMobil, 2 of which the 2 FPSOs are operating right now. We have another FPSO, the Prosperity, that is the Payara project that will reach Guyana reach Guyana waters in 2023. So we'll start up a 3rd FPSO in 2023. That's maybe a year from now. And then in 2025, we have a 4th FPSO coming, the One Guyana FPSO. So by 2025, there will be 4 FPSOs operating and the possibility of producing over 800,000 barrels of oil per day. Already there is indication from ExxonMobil that a 5th development is coming, the FDP is coming shortly. So definitely we'll move on that 5th development. Maybe in 2027, we'll have another FPSO and we will clear 1 million barrels of oil per day. That will be only about 10 to 12 years after we discover oil in such a short period of time. So you can only imagine the opportunities that will arise out of Guyana producing over 1 million barrels of oil in the next 5 years from now, from today. Opportunities in the exploration activities that are ongoing. And mind you, this production figure that I'm calling is only from the Stabroek block. We have 9 offshore blocks, of which 8 are awarded. ExxonMobil is the operator in the Stabroek block, Kanji block, and the Kaieteur block. We also have CGX operating, we have Tullow operating, we have Repsol operating as well. So we do have exploration activities in the other blocks other than the ones that are being operated by ExxonMobil. Presently there are six drill ships operating in the ExxonMobil blocks that they're operating in. We have one being set up, one is in the process of being set up by Repsol. In another few months we have the next one that will be set up by CGX, and that's the block that we had a discovery recently. That is our first major discovery outside of the Stabroek block. That is the Quarantine block that is located very close to Suriname. Those of you who are following the development in Suriname, it's actually a few kilometers away from where Apache would have made that discovery, I think in block 52 in Suriname. So there are high prospects in the other blocks other than the Stabroek block. We are also venturing into what we term as the gas to energy project. This is the first project that we're embarking on to monetize, utilize, and to monetize our gas reserves, because we've been focusing a lot on oil and not gas so much. So our critical problem in Guyana is power generation, the cost of power generation, the reliability of power generation. So we deem this project as critical towards the future development of Guyana. And it's a project that will bring along with it significant opportunities for investment in the manufacturing industrial sector. So this project, the gas energy project, with us bringing gas to shore with a pipeline, a 12-inch pipeline from the Stabroek block 120 miles off the shore of Guyana, and bringing it into land, constructing the power plant. There's another opportunity because we'll go out with an RFP very soon, looking for possible partners to build the power plant, to build the NGL plant, to build all the surrounding facilities. And in that area that we're going to build the power plant and NGL plant, we have identified almost 15,000 acres of land surrounding the power plant and our developments. It is very close, maybe 2-3 kilometers to the deepest river in Guyana, the Demerara River. So you have access to the waterways, and from the Demerara River, where it is the Wales development area will be situated, it is just 15 kilometers out into the Atlantic. So it's not a long way out. So that area by itself will present a number of opportunities for investment. And we would like to encourage people to come to Guyana. That's the first thing. We believe strongly that if you want to invest in Guyana, come to Guyana and see what we have in Guyana. You assess what might be the best investment at this point in time, what might be more medium-term, long-term investment, and then you make an informed decision. I always believe so, and I think Ambassador believe that the best way to determine how and to move forward in terms of investing in Guyana is to come and see what exists. Because there are so many investors that come because they have an idea or they're in a particular line of business. But when you actually come to Guyana, you realize that, you know what, this project might not be the ideal project for Guyana at this point in time, but it will be in another 5 years, or it will be in another 10 years. So the best thing is to come, meet with us in Guyana, meet with the others. I'm only one cabinet member. There's so many others that you can speak with, and they can show you, or they can guide you in terms of areas that we need critical and timely, urgent investment in those areas. Like infrastructure, for example. Infrastructure is something that's badly needed in our country right now. Right now, we're trying to build out our airports, not only the one international, we're trying to create regional airports, because if we are going to develop, and if we're going to have investors coming into our country, tourists coming into our country, then we have to start building out our infrastructure. Our airports, we have started with the main one, but there's so many opportunities to collaborate in the regional airports across the country. Because the challenge with us in Guyana is that 90% of the population lives on 9% of the land along the Atlantic, along the coast. 90% of our population. Mind you, we are less than 1 million people. And in the other 10% of the population, the other 91% of the population lives on all the other land in Guyana. In the hinterland regions, they're mostly our indigenous population. So there are so many opportunities in terms of building out our infrastructure. Right now we're looking at partnership to develop a highway to Brazil. Because when you look at investing in Guyana, you should consider the northern Brazil as the biggest market. For example, you're setting up a refinery in Guyana, which we may consider very soon to do so, to look at building a refinery in Guyana. So our consumption is very low because of our low population now, small population now, but that will grow significantly. But we need to look at the northern Brazil market. It is difficult for Brazil to service northern Brazil because of the distance and the terrain coming through the Amazon. It takes about 7 days to move from the state of Roraima to Rio de Janeiro. Whereas if we have a highway from Brazil to Georgetown, it will take 24 hours. We do have existing trails, but these are off-road trails, laterite trails. So we have already secured a loan to develop half of that highway already. We are looking for investors to partners to look at the other half of the highway leading to Brazil. There's already a bridge across the Takatu River that is between Brazil and Guyana. Not only that, but we are looking at building a bridge to Suriname. So we can actually link Guyana and Suriname, Guyana and Brazil by bridge. Because our intention as a government is to create a hub, or to make Guyana into a hub for the Guyana shales and for the Caribbean. In oil and gas, in agriculture, and in other sectors, tourism, for example, ecotourism, for example. So what we're doing is encouraging companies. A lot of companies have already left Trinidad and other places, and they're setting up in Guyana now, because we want Guyana to service our oil and gas sector, Suriname's oil and gas sector, northern Brazil, French Guyana, and even Trinidad and Barbados, because Barbados, we know that they might go into exploration at some point soon in the future. So we want to establish Guyana as a hub, but the only way we can do so is if we have facilities, in-house or in-country facilities. Already we have had some major companies coming to Guyana. Only recently we commissioned Technip FMC. We have Schlumberger, we have Halliburton, we have Baker Hughes, we have Saipem. All these companies are already in country in Guyana. And the opportunity exists to service Suriname market. Suriname is way behind us. They made a lot of discoveries, but they have not moved towards production as yet. So there's so many opportunities here. And you're in the oil and gas sector, you know that the opportunities are during the exploration stages mostly. That is where all the opportunities lies for investment. When it gets to production, it gets kind of boring. But during exploration, that is where the investment opportunities are. And that is what we're going through. That is what Suriname is going through, northern Brazil. Barbados will start very soon. But as was mentioned, we don't want Guyana to be seen as an oil and gas country only. There are so many other potential and opportunities for investment in Guyana. That is why I often say that's why I'm not the Minister of Energy, because in some countries we have Minister of Energy, but we have Minister of Natural Resources, because we do have a lot of other natural resources. For example, our forests. Our forests, 86% of Guyana is forests. We have over 1,000 different species. Some of the best in the world, green heart, purple heart, Omara. These are wood that give you excellent finish. Very, very high in demand, especially in Europe and Asia. And even in the US, our green heart is in high demand. I think in Manhattan, our green heart was actually used there to do the pier going out a while back now. So we have significant potential there. What we've been asking to do is to add value to product, because most of our people, they export logs. Why? Because they don't have the resources to venture into value added. And that is where the opportunities lie. That is where the opportunity lies. And now that we're going to bring the gas energy project on board by the ending 2024, By ending 2024, we want to switch on the power from that power plant. And when we switch on the power on that power plant, it means that we will have 100 kilowatts more than we have today. We will be providing electricity at half of the cost that we're providing it today. And also it will be reliable electricity. So it means that there we can have companies venturing into value added. Rather than exporting logs, we export lumber, we export wood products. Because that is where the opportunity and the revenue comes from. So our logging sector is an area that we're looking for significant investment. And I know in the context of climate change and cutting carbon emission, a lot of people are worried about getting into the logging business. But I want to assure you that we are allowed to cut over 1.2 million cubic of wood every single year based on our climate change agreement and keeping our deforestation rate to 0.05%, which is acceptable. We have never reached 50% of that. We have never reached 500,000 cubic in any given year as yet. Last year, we haven't even reached 400,000. So there is so much scope for increase in production in the forestry sector. And there is so much opportunity in the downstream active, adding value to it. Adding value to it. In the mining sector, which falls under me as well, the logging and mining falls under the Ministry of Natural Resources. In mining, gold price today I think is $1,943 US per ounce. And it has been so for the past year or so. And honestly, I don't see it going down too much from there. So gold mining is big in Guyana. We have mineral-rich lands. The good thing is that only large-scale mining, we encourage foreign investors to go into large-scale mining. The small and medium-scale mining, we reserve that more for Guyanese, but they can partner with foreign investors because of capital, raising capital. So that is another opportunity. We also have bauxite, we have quarryable materials, stone, sand. We also have diamond, rare earths, minerals. These are all natural resources that we do have in Guyana. I know it might sound unreal, but this is true. When you come to Guyana, you'll actually see that this actually exists in Guyana. As I mentioned earlier, access to capital has always been our biggest challenge. So you would see Guyanese having mineral-rich land, but they're still with a 4-inch or a 6-inch dredge looking for gold, rather than going large scale and extracting all the minerals out of the ground. It is because of access to capital, expertise, the technology. We don't have this. We seek to partner with companies and to people who can bring that to us, and for us to do things differently. Because we believe, for example, in gold and gold mining and in logging, our recovery rate is so low, sometimes it hurts. Because imagine you be mining in Guyana and your recovery rate is only 35%. Meaning that when you extract all the materials and the ore and whatever the case is, and when you wash down to get the final product, the gold out of it, you can only extract 35%. 65% is just washed away at the same operational cost. So if we can get new technology, new methods of mining, then it means we can increase our recovery rate from 35% to 70% at the same operational cost. It's the same with logging. When we cut a tree in our interior, we only use 20% of the tree. Because we cut the tree, we just take the log alone, we take it out to Georgetown. When it gets to the sawmill, sometimes we get 40% recovery out of it. Because our people have not been recapitalizing as much as they should. They have not been using new methods, new technology, new equipment, again, because of access to capital and because of the high power costs in Guyana too. So these are all areas and opportunity that I see that you can partner with our local companies, our local businesses, or you can venture into these opportunities or these investment areas as a standalone company, as a foreign standalone company. The other area I would like to speak on quickly, and which is very, very important to us, is agriculture. Because recently our president launched an initiative which is called Vision by 2025. It simply means that by 2025, we intend to cut our food importation bill by 25%. By 25%. And the only way we are going to do that is that we got to produce more. We got to start producing more. And we have already started to open up new lands. We have land available. Land is not an issue when it comes to agriculture in Guyana. Because we, as you know, we've been planting sugarcane and rice for decades now. But sugarcane has not been as lucrative as it used to in the past. So we have a lot of land that were once used for the cultivation of sugarcane available and ready. You notice soon we will be taking the hemp bill to Parliament because we want to get into large-scale cultivation for hemp. We have never even realized that there are so many uses for hemp and so many products are made out of hemp. And I think that is a big product that is taking the market by storm now. We are preparing to go into cultivation very soon, but on large-scale level. On large-scale level. Again, that's where investment lies too. We are going into soybeans, corn on a large-scale level. We're going into poultry. We're going to cattle rearing. Recently, we started a project with Barbados in terms of sheep, black belly sheep, lamb. That's a big market in the Caribbean that we're venturing into as well, and we need investors to go in. Because you will find that our farmers are mostly small farmers. They would buy 50 sheep, or they buy 20 sheep, or they buy 10 cows, or they buy 30 cows, but you will not find a ranch with 1,000 or 2,000 cows or 3,000 sheep. And that is the kind of investment we need to satisfy our local market, to satisfy the Guyana Shield market, to satisfy the regional market, and even the American market. And even the American market. So I would ask that you look at Guyana beyond oil and gas. Look at our logging industry, our mining industry, our agriculture, tourism. Tourism is another big sector that we believe we can develop and we can earn a lot from. Tourism, especially ecotourism. Guyana is probably one of the best ecotourism destinations in this hemisphere. Probably one of the best ecotourism destinations, but we haven't really packaged it as best as we would like to. We haven't really developed it to how we think it should have been, and we really haven't marketed as much as we should too. But then there again lies the opportunity for us to partner in these areas. Because as I mentioned, we have a very small population. We have our challenges in terms of capacity, in terms of access to capital. There are many challenges that we are faced with. We are blessed because we have found a large deposit of oil and gas now, and we intend to use that to build out the other sectors. But at the same time, we can't do it alone. So I think that is why this forum was organized this afternoon. I'd personally like to thank Mr. Lutfi Hassan, who by now you know is part Guyanese. He's the honorary counsel for us in Houston here. And Mr. Hassan, I know, took several delegations already to Guyana. We have had meetings with several business entities, individuals, and I'm happy to see so many of us here this afternoon so that we can have this discussion. Once again, thank you.
Fortunate to have with us here today the U.S. Ambassador to Guyana, and maybe if you could share with us a little bit about the support that people could expect from the government, whether that's DFC or XM, as they look to bring investment into Guyana.
Sure.
Please.
Well,
Or we have a mic if you want to do
Yeah.
that.
we have
this is
mic
great.
also.
Oh, this is fun. Okay. Thank you, John, and Lutfi, thank you for the invitation here, our new Guyana's new honorary council, which is just fantastic. And it's always hard to go after the minister because he's so thorough, but I'll see if I can add in a few things. And first, I'd like to introduce my team, which is much smaller. Ben Hulefeld, who is head of the economics section at the embassy. So yeah, just a couple of things from our perspective. First of all, John, you're absolutely right. Guyana's at an inflection point and is on an incredible journey right now, and we are thrilled to be there to assist in any way that we can. But, in the short term, I think it's going to be, I think everyone here would agree, it's going to be a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work for the government, for the private sector, for the people of Guyana. The government is working very hard to put into place a regulatory environment and legislation that will make it easier for you all to invest. The private sector will be, hopefully looking at creative, innovative opportunities in various sectors. And then the citizens of Guyana will want to take part in this new day and help shape the way their country, the future of their country. And if all goes well, then I think Guyana will see a very bright future where there will be a government that's transparent and resilient, and a private sector that creates all kinds of jobs in all sorts of different sectors, and a civil society that's strong and can hold its government accountable. So to do all those things, though, is going to take, as I said, a lot of work. And as the minister said, they can't really do all of this alone. So we at the U.S. Embassy do many things to assist. We provide a lot of technical assistance. We provide some guidance and advice in many different areas. And we know the private sector is generally interested in security, safety, stability, predictability, things of that nature. So we work a lot on those fronts. Just very briefly on the security front, we help build the capacity of the Guyana Defense Force, the Guyana Police Force, stability. We work on capacity building of key institutions, including some like the Guyana Revenue Authority that's responsible for auditing large companies. And then certainly on the economic growth side, we do a lot. First of all, we do some matchmaking of U.S. businesses and local companies, and we do that with pleasure, putting you all in touch with local companies that we think would be good for you to speak with. And just to address predictability, because I know that's important to the private sector, we do see a government that I think you've passed now 3 different budgets, even though you've been in office for not even 2 years, because the first one was a short period of time. And what we see is that the government is investing both in its people and in important infrastructure. So in terms of people, health and education, they're prioritizing, and important infrastructure, which will lead to improved growth in the economy. So we see that as very important, and hope to see that also in the future. So again, we're working in many different areas with the government, so we see a lot of opportunities. Many that were already mentioned for U.S. businesses. It's English speaking. Guyana is kind of the gateway, whichever way you look at it, to South America or North America, but provides some very interesting opportunities there. Guyana has strong family ties with the United States, so there's a built-in relationship there. I think that the current government is very forward-leaning in terms of economic growth. I would also just add one thing that the minister started to allude to in his discussion of Brazil and Suriname. Even though the country has fewer than 1 million people, the Caribbean has 40 million. And you add in Brazil and perhaps others in South America, other opportunities there. And I would think of it more broadly in a regional. There are a lot of regional opportunities. Guyana is the home of the CARICOM Secretariat, and Guyana has the lead on agriculture and food security for the CARICOM members. So there are a lot of opportunities in agriculture. But as the minister said, there are a lot of challenges as well, both with infrastructure, the cost of electricity, the ease of doing business. I know the government's working on improving that, and the tender process, things of that nature. So they're working very hard, and we're trying to help them address many of those issues. So my advice to you all here is, number one, do your homework on Guyana and whatever sector you're interested in. 2, come up with a plan of what you'd like to do. The government, as they are very forward-leaning and interested in a lot of things, I would say many times might be a bit overwhelmed with the interest right now. So I would say it's good to come in with some sort of plan about what your business wants to accomplish. And then, as the minister said, please come to Guyana, because it's important as a small nation, I think, to build that trust and establish personal relationships with people in the country, and certainly the government. And the U.S. Embassy can help you do that. So With that, I think I'll just say, from the U.S. Embassy's perspective, Guyana is definitely open for business, and we hope to see you all there sometime. Thank you.
Dr. Ramser, if you would give us a couple of minutes of discussion about incentives that exist inside of Guyana to promote development and policies, the Guyana policies with respect to immigration visas, work permits, and foreign ownership of companies and land in Guyana.
Thank you very much, my colleagues. As the Honorable Minister described, a very comprehensive overview of our nation. As you listen to him, and he mentioned the mega infrastructure projects, that's close to over $8 billion US worth of projects. So the opportunities in the national projects is significant. With that, we're building 2,000 miles of new roads. So when you think of opening up the lands as he speaks about, and open up agriculture land, when he talked about a 20 by 25, imagine Guyana imports close to $40 million US worth of milk, fox milk, from New Zealand and Australia. We've got land. We should be having our dairy plant and dairy cattle. The Caribbean, when we talk about the ambassador mentioned 40 million people, 32 million visitors every year. The import bill the minister talked about is $10 billion. So 25%, what does that mean? Logistics. So when we start growing, we need mega farms. And as we're opening up a food terminal, Guyana food terminal in Barbados, that means we need 2 cargo ships right now by May, June to move agriculture products into the region so that it then could be distributed to the Caribbean hotel hospitality, which is a large sector. So each of these mega projects bring specific investment opportunities that we can go through with you. So no matter what field you are, when you think of the technology side, nearshore has become a very important factor for call centers and back office processing. Most of the U.S. companies don't want to go to India anymore. They don't want to go to the Philippines. They're looking for nearshore. So we're looking to increase that opportunity. In our budget this year, we put to build 2 large shells for call centers. So if you can bring 1,000 people, seats to Guyana, we will build that shell for you. Turn the keys over to you. You outfit it, pay the utilities, and it's yours for 5 years, and potentially a 5-year tax holiday to go with it. So those are specific incentives, specific industries. In the education industry, in the healthcare sector, we are wide open for a medical tourism hospital. Pluck it out of India, pluck it out of somewhere, put it in Guyana. As we talk about ecotourism, the wellness recovery in a nice temperature such as Guyana is a good opportunity. And in the manufacturing sector, you got to skate to where the puck is going to be. It's going to be cheaper energy in 2 years. So we've got to move to, instead of us shipping our pineapples out to Barbados, maybe we can it, right? And it's much more valuable. We throw away thousands of tons of fresh fruit and vegetables every year because we don't have the market for it. What if you had a dry clean and, a bag of bananas, dry bananas in Miami Airport is $3-4? These are all immediate opportunities that exist in every sector. I can go through every sector and tell you what you can do based on what government is implementing. Our budget this year is look at the improvement. And ultimately, I always mention our goal, the president's vision, and his measurement of success is prosperity for Guyanese. So we're looking at our local content, trying to match your company up with local companies to improve the knowledge transfer and the capability. Incentives are significant. We've got the bilateral agreements across CARICOM, double taxation treaties. When you look at all the trade agreements, you're accessing 200 million people as a whole with our trade agreements. You can repatriate all your profits out of Guyana. You could, your depreciation in your equipment, bringing in, like right now we're building 6 new hotels. We don't have vertical contractors in Guyana. The real estate market is going out of the window. We need vertical contractors. We got good contractors who can build roads. We're building 2,000 miles of new roads. Real estate, we're looking for condo builders right now. And why is it important that you will do well? If you were a real estate developer and build, say, a 500-unit condo, high-rise, Guyanese will buy it from you to rent, because as we move the local content law, Exxon and the other folks must rent from Guyana. So I want to buy 3 or 4. And a 1,200 square foot to 1,500 square foot condo sitting in the city with all the expat can go close to $2,500 a month. Compared to any place in the United States. It's a very good real estate market to pay attention to. And there are many other opportunities that way. The atmosphere in Guyana is very friendly, open for business environment. I mean, our office designated by law to facilitate your investment in sectors. Look at what concessions we can give to you if you're going into the green field, looking at, say, manufacturing. We've got the best silica sand in the world. Ultimately, we should be building the cell phone glass cover in 2-3 years as we bring energy costs down. You got to start building that out now. We have land accessible, concessional lands that we can give. We're looking for iconic hotels in terms of luxury hotel, convention center. Right now, when we hold a conference in Guyana, which we had the energy conference in February, we had no hotel rooms. We have the agriculture conference in a couple of weeks in May, especially in American companies coming in. If you're bringing in folks from India or Malaysia or wherever workers will come from, we will facilitate the visa requirement through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And the reason why, I'll throw it out, the Chinese companies do well in Guyana, they've mastered the system, right? I have a colleague that is building the AC Marriott Hotel starting in 2 weeks. He just signed a contract with China Harbor for the vertical because they've brought their equipment, they've brought their people, they're ready to go. The other hotels are looking, where am I going to find contractors to go vertical? Education, healthcare, all the sectors. There, as you listen to the minister's description of our president's vision and the next phase of our development, you can pinpoint. And I would advise, if whatever field you're in, stay with your field. And come in, and we will help guide that process through and try to incentivize you coming to the country. As the ambassador said, the United States is a very good relationship with us, both with our view of democracy and accountability and transparency. We want to ensure that we continue to do that and we understand the laws of the United States and how it works. You won't find any on the table deal with our government. We have a zero tolerance of corruption. The president will fire any one of us with just the perception. And so we are ready to do business with the United States companies and by extension other parts of the world, and we look forward to working with you the best way we can. Thank you.
We're very fortunate to have the experts with respect to local content here. And I don't think there's anything that frightens American investors going into a developing country more than the myth and mystery of local content. From the question of, does it relate exclusively to petroleum activities, to the distinction between local content and local participation. So, Bobby, if you would give us your view on that as it relates to Guyana, it would be helpful. Thanks.
Here as the director of the Local Content Secretariat. But in developing the policy through guidance of Minister and the Vice President and the President, it's the petroleum sectors where we're starting the mechanism of local content. Local content benefits to Guyana, local content development, local content participation. But that participation extends to investors as well. As we would hear time and time again, that Guyana is in a position where we are looking for that help, we are looking for that collaboration, and we're looking for the partnership. So with joint ventures and partnership, as has already been described in the local content law, we want to make sure that when you're coming into Guyana, you can partner with the right stakeholder, you can find the right key personnel or business so that you can see the ways in which to do business and also bring with you the necessary capital, the necessary skills, and the transfer of technology to enhance the ways in which we are doing business. So within our local content law, that is what we prescribe as it relates to procurement, employment, and capacity building. But overall, for the country as a whole, local content is being seen as something with a sort of enhanced business opportunities. Because now Guyana, of course, is the hotspot for investment. It'll be there for the next 7 to 10 years. But at the same time, we want you to come to Guyana in a sense where it's not just about seeing what opportunities are there, but finding the right partners to develop the resources, to develop the sectors, and of course, gain beneficially for everyone, yourselves as investors as well as the entire economy.
So just to follow up, if you look at local content as being a mechanism for skills transfer and technology transfer, that's one thing. If you look at local content as a mandate that subsea engineers have to be Guyanese, that's a trickier proposition. So if you look at other developing countries that have gone down this path, the Martins of the world spend a good amount of their time making exceptions. And when you're spending your time making exceptions to local content policies, you may be creating the problem you're trying to solve. So Martin, since this falls in your lap, could you speak to that a little bit?
Working assiduously with those companies that are already in country, especially the contractors, subcontractors licensing, because we understand the importance of building local capacity. One of the things that we have observed is that we have quite an educated labor force. Most of our people, the human development index of Guyana is quite high. Of course, we understand that we don't have the capacity, most of the capacity, experience, to participate in the oil and gas industry, but the foundation is clear. We'll consider the fundamentals are in place. So one of the things that we'll be pushing is that for these companies to provide direct training. Of course, the government also at their level, at our level, is also pushing us seriously to have other institutions, etc., training institutions in place. We've been focusing on having technical vocational training to bring our people up to standard where, of course, we could have them considered eligible by the foreign companies. Systems are in place and to ensure that we have a labor force that is able to take advantage of the opportunities that exist. And of course, as the Minister mentioned, the local content policy was never designed to hinder or obstruct foreign investment. In fact, we have been considered as a win-win situation. One thing we have seen is that once you get in there, you partner with a local, by virtue of that, considered as a local company by our definition, which is 51% of equities must be beneficial ownership must be by a local investor or Guyanese. 75% of all senior management and executive staff must be Guyanese, and 90% of the remaining staff, of course, Guyanese. So once you fit a definition, the benefits are one. Because by virtue that you will be now considered as a local company, and preference will be given to your operation in supplies of goods and services to the oil and gas industries. And in both cases, it will work as a win-win situation for the locals and, of course, for the foreigners. Thank you.
But if I may add, as it is now with the local content legislation targets more the oil and gas sector. To answer the question directly, it targets mostly the oil and gas sector, and we don't extend it to the agriculture sector, to the mining sector, and we don't have any intention of doing so. It was merely implemented to ensure that Guyanese benefit from the oil and gas sector too, because you need to look at our position too as a political party, as a government. At some point in time, we will seek re-election through a democratic process. We are accountable to our constituents or to our electorates, and we must show that our people, they're gaining from this new resource too. Otherwise, they'll vote us out. Simple as that. so they must feel as though they're benefiting from the new resources. We can't be telling Guyanese every day, oh, we get 3 discoveries, oh, we get another discovery and another one there, but then they're not benefiting in any way or the other. Guyanese are not being employed in the sector. They're not being able or given the opportunity to supply goods and services to the oil and gas sector, even basic things like food supplies. And if you look at the local content legislation, there's a schedule in it with 40 basic services and targets that must be achieved, 40 only. And you would know better than I do, the oil and gas sector requires maybe thousands of different services. We only have 40, and 40 that we have the capacity to do in Guyana. And obviously we don't have capacity to supply wellheads or to risers or to the Christmas trees or to jumpers or build FPSOs. We don't. Simple as that. We don't have the capacity to do that. So that is not in the local content schedule. Food supply, yes, we do. And even to that, we did not put 100%, we say 75%. Because we don't want to create a shortage at our local marketplaces too, and increase prices for our people. Because the next you know, all our food supply would be on the FPSOs and not at our markets. So we got to guard against that at the same time. We have security services, we have disposal services, catering services. These are basic services that we have the capacity. Transportation, accommodation, as Peter mentioned. So these are not the technical services because we don't have capacity to offer them. We need investment to build in-country facility, and we will work with foreign investors once you partner with our local enterprises or local individual to ensure that we add whatever service you're bringing to Guyana on that local content schedule. Right? In fact, we have made a commitment that we will do so. So if tomorrow morning a company from Texas here decide that they're going to partner with a Guyanese company to do pipe coating, for example, we will have the in-country facility. Then what we will do in another year, once the facility is in place, we will change the schedule to say, you know what, at least 50% of the pipe coating must be done in-house or in-country. So it's actually an advantage to foreign investors coming in country and partner with local companies. So it shouldn't be looked at as a disadvantage or in a way to keep out investors. It's actually more guarantee you business. It's more a guarantee that you will get business once you partner with local companies, because we will amend the schedule at any point in time once we build capacity in country. That is the key, to build capacity in country.
So I could ask a lot more questions, but we have, you guys have been kind enough to give us your time. So I'm going to open this up because this is your opportunity to speak with the people that know the answers. So anybody wants to address any questions to the group, just let us know.
A new company there from a U.S. company, and you want to locate there. What are the rules, and are we able to own 100%? Do we have to have a local partner, or how does that happen?
Yeah, there's no mandatory rule. You can own 100%. Although we prefer, it's no different than going in anywhere and setting up a business. It takes about 7 days. If you hire a law firm, your incorporation papers, your tax ID, simple process, no more. And then as you go into, say, building, you'll get your building permit, CPA. Sham Nocta here is an expert on the environmental issues. And and most times you really don't need access. You don't need government. We're putting, as the ambassador said, he's a business where these things are seamless process, and we're trying to get away where people believe that they've got to see a government minister or a government official to do business in Guyana. No.
We'd like you to sit there in case we need something.
Yeah.
As you realize the expansion with the oil and gas market, how many jobs do y'all expect this to open up in country?
Right now we have about 3,600 Guyanese who are already employed in the oil and gas sector. We are going to train another 1,000. We are planning to train 1,000 young persons every year. Soon the doors for our Guyana Technical Training College will open, where we'll be conducting training in oil and gas, the certification required to work in oil and gas. Because what we have in Guyana is people who have the ability, they have the skill set, but they are not certified to work in the oil and gas sector. So that we're going to start in another few months from now, having our own oil and gas institute in Guyana. So we see, quite honestly, we know, based on our limited experience to date, that the oil and gas sector is not labor intensive, it is more capital intensive. It is the other sectors like agriculture. For example, mining and logging in Guyana employs 50,000 Guyanese directly, and maybe another 50, 60,000 indirectly. Logging, almost the same. Agriculture, another 100,000 people are employed directly in the agriculture sector, working sugar estates, working in the rice field, and cash crops, cattle, poultry. So those are tourism, those are the sectors, construction, those are the sectors that generate the massive amount of employment. So that is why we are so keen in having investment in those sectors, and we are so keen in using our oil revenue to provide incentives for those other sectors. Peter spoke to some of those incentives, and to build out the non-oil economy, because we believe that is where the job creation really is. Already we are having problem with people leaving the mining sector and the logging sector and going and work with the oil and gas companies. But we can't stop the young Guyanese. If you're a young Guyanese and you have the skill set and the certificate, we can't tell you can't leave the sugar estate and go and work on the FPSO, because you're going for a better life, a better remuneration, a better package. And that is what we want to. So we are hoping that the other sectors will create the bulk of the employment, but we will continue to train young people who are desirous, not young people alone, but people in general, who are desirous of working in the oil and gas sector.
Honorable Mr. On timber logging policy, I understand that export of logs is not really encouraged and it could be banned. But when you say value addition, are you looking at only lumber, which is like a sawmill and we cut it, or you're going beyond that and getting the plywood and done?
Okay.
Why I ask this question is because I'm associated with Liberia. Liberia has got a great logging policy. It's got every tree in the bush is barcoded. So I don't know if you have a policy like that where we can get a sustainable forestry and say 1 or 10 trees are only cut, then I never preserve them. It's more like a thing which I have been closely following in Liberia.
Maybe you should start following Guyana a little too, because we have one of the best forest management system in the world, right? We can boast about it because it is probably one of the best, much like what you're saying. We don't do clear felling, right? We do selective felling. So just as you describe it in maybe a square mile or a hectare, only a certain amount of trees can be cut from that area, certain diameter too, and the canopy, when the trees are being felled, it should not destroy the smaller ones around it. We have all of this in place. We have stump inspection to ensure that there is no illegal mining or people don't go on conservation and cut trees. So we have an excellent forest management system in Guyana. We don't do as some countries that do clear felling, because we have a responsibility too to cut emission, to save our forests, to ensure that we make a contribution towards minimizing our climate change issue. The other thing I think the issue on ban, it's not really a ban. What I was saying.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Because your neighbors, Suriname, there's a lot of.
They do clear felling. You know that too. Yeah, they weed down the forest. Yeah, but there is no ban on exporting logs. What I was saying is that I hope that we can stop, exporting logs and move more to value added. Right, and not only lumber, but wood products too.
So if, say we move in, apply for a concession, I'm just taking the next stage, a concession for a forest, and you want to set up a sawmill, the cheapest way to create value addition, where we create lumber and export. Where we require a container terminal to move in because they have to go in a container. So how efficient are you in containers? That's one. And second, what do we get any tax holidays for a sawmill, because we're going to create employment apart from logging into the sawmill. And so this is an area which I've worked in different countries.
Yeah.
And we are rolling about Western Cameroon while we speak. I've done logging in Liberia, so a fair
You
idea
sound like you know the word business well. we can assist first of all with the concession, because you must get a concession first. That is where we can assist you. The other area we can assist you with is the land for the sawmill. You would need land obviously to build your sawmill and have your piles or your logs stockpiled. So we can assist with that. We can assist with the machinery coming into the country through Dr. Ramsroop's office. We can assist through concessions bringing in those equipment. But obviously it will be tied to employment, as you rightly mentioned. The issue with container, I think that is a global problem right now. So I won't come here and lie to you that we don't have the issue in Guyana right now. Most of the loggers are complaining to me, Minister, we don't have containers, because they're giving priority to food products, and that is understandable. But I'm hoping that issue will probably resolve itself in a way once COVID goes away totally. Which I hope it happens. Once the war probably...
they're building boxes all over the world, and that's what they say.
Yeah. So it's more of a global issue and not a localized issue to Guyana. And I think that will resolve itself over time once we go back to some amount of normalcy with the war and COVID and all these things going away, and so that we can...
Why the rush to deplete the oil when other countries are restricting fossil fuel? And also, North Dakota had the same rush 2 years ago. And what happens there? And are all the oil dry in Trinidad and Venezuela? This is maybe the ambassador thing.
Now, the question is why the rush to extract our oil? I would ask the question, why not? Right? Which country now, at this point in time in the history, will not want to extract, to develop their country, their infrastructure, their health system, their education system, build the non-oil sector, and prepare ourselves for when the demand for fossil will not be the same as it is today? Right? If we don't to look at the economic implication of it, if we don't extract the oil from the ground now, the demand is still there. You know, there's been so much talk about renewable energy, going green, cutting emission, but that is where the talks end, because you don't hear a commitment from anyone saying, oh, you got to go to 100% renewable by 2030, and here is the money to do it. It comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. So simply put it, when work is done to reduce the demand, then I think countries would work on slowing up their production. So it's a two-way process. Once the demand is there, we have to produce, because at the end of the day, we want to develop our country. We want... Yeah, so we want to develop our country. We want a better life for our people, obviously. You're from Guyana originally. I'm sure you're following what is happening in Guyana. I'm sure you knew what existed in the 60s, 70s, 80s in Guyana. Maybe that's why you're here today, because of the conditions in Guyana. A lot of Guyanese left Guyana because of the condition that existed then. And we are now bed of roses now either. There's so much that must be done in Guyana, so that our people could enjoy a good life too. There are countries that have been producing oil for 50, 60, 100 years. What's the difference between those people and our people? We deserve to have a good life too. We deserve to have the facilities and amenities like developed countries too. So that is our rush, simple as that, to develop our country. Because at some point in time, we all know that around this table, the demand for crude will not be, for fossil will not be the same. And the price will be the same either. Who will buy it? Because when the entire Europe stop using fossil and the renewable, then who will buy the oil and gas from us?
But we're the LCDS, we're targeted.
Right, yeah. And the other issue you mentioned with Venezuela, well, I won't comment much on the issue with Venezuela, because you know Venezuela right now want to take part of our country. Our country, because you said that you're Guyanese too. Right? Venezuela is actually fighting for part of Guyana right now. We have the matter in the International Court of Justice. Besides from that, you know the issue with the elections and the undemocratic rule and what is happening in the country. I don't think I need to go through that.
I have a quick one as a follow-up to his question. What are the fiscal rates over there? What is the taxation for an investor in your part of the world?
Well, they vary by sector.
So give us a rate.
28 to 40%.
What
Yeah.
is 28, what is 40?
Corporate tax.
Corporate
Yeah.
tax. And it
Yeah.
depends on?
On the various, like for healthcare, there's no VAT, there's no on healthcare and education, right? There's no taxes. It's tax-free on those areas.
So what would be 40?
Yeah.
It's very high.
Yeah, but as our revenues increase and you know, we are bringing down the other costs in the other sectors, you're going to see a significant reduction in corporate taxes over the near term, in the next couple of years, yes. I mean, that's, you know, as all revenues flow in, you're going to see some reduction there.
As you asked me to answer part of that question on climate change, I just want to add to what the minister said. It is a bit of a balancing act right now with the extraction coming in Guyana. At the same time, there's a global shift to looking very seriously at climate change issues, which we all need to do. I think everybody's agreed to that. But to add to what he said, I just want to mention that many people may not know that at the recent COP meeting that took place, Guyana agreed to sign up to the Global Methane Pledge, which where they agreed to reduce emissions by, is it 70% by 2030? And then recently, they've also agreed to sign up to RELAC, which is a renewable energy, another pledge in Latin America and the Caribbean. But I think the most important point is, as the minister mentioned, the vast forests of Guyana, which make it basically a natural carbon sink. So they are addressing that balancing act in our eyes very well right now, and will continue to do so. The vice president is very skilled in these areas. He's a climate expert, and after he was president for 2 terms, spent the next several years, I think, speaking about these issues across the globe. So he's very well versed in these issues, and we have discussions with his team as well as the vice president himself frequently. So we're feeling pretty good about their ability to, again, balance the two. So, thank you.
To add to is that Guyana is already carbon neutral. We're already carbon neutral. There are many other countries. For example, I met with the Minister of Natural Resources for Newfoundland earlier today. And they're working now, they're producing oil, but they're working now towards bringing down their emission. Our emission is already below zero, as a matter of fact. It is in the negative. And we are working to carry that down even further. So we are making our contribution to the world, I would say.
As we talk about growing economy and creating everything, what do you think about the schooling system as the new generation that's coming up for technology, education, and the future of Guyanese, I would say, the boomers or the millennial generation, how do you see that growing as the investment from oil and gas comes out towards the education system?
The standard of our education system in Guyana is quite high. But of course, we lack certain facilities, we lack the full use of technology in training our people and getting them certified. But the standard of our education system, if I may say, is quite high. What we are looking towards is to make tertiary education free as well. We already have free education from nursery right up to secondary. We want to make education free from nursery right up to tertiary, so that every child leaving secondary school or graduating from secondary or high school that they can go on and acquire tertiary education at no cost. At no cost. So we can have most of our entire young population with degrees and diplomas and masters. Because you're right, for a country to develop, you need an educated population. Right? If our people are going to develop with the country, they must be educated, they must be skilled, they must be certified. So that is why we mentioned, I think all of us mentioned, the emphasis on education, healthcare. Our oil, we have already said that our oil proceeds will be spent on 1, education, 2, healthcare, 3, infrastructure, 4, billing out the non-oil sectors or the non-oil economy, creating incentives for the non-oil economy, because that will create jobs. It will bring investments and will create jobs for the people that we are going to train. In terms of oil and gas, I mentioned the institute that we are opening very soon. That will be a technical institute, and we are looking more than just engineering, because most of the time we only target either the top level of employment in the oil and gas sector or right down to the bottom. But we don't look at the technical level. Most of the employment is at the middle level, the midway level, the technical level. So we are working towards training a lot of people in the technical field, welding, fabrication, electricians, and all these areas, because we have this skill set, as I mentioned, but they are not certified. They are not certified.
If I can ask a follow-up on that, if you were to think about the middle school, the high school, what would be the key areas for the next 5 years to 10 years that the government would be focusing on? Outside of the technical skills,
Yes, coding and software development.
vocational training, that would be a focus.
Yeah, well, it's technology. It's technology. It's more IT training, because that's an area that we've been lagging behind. As I mentioned, our education system is high, but we've been lagging behind in terms of facilities. Like you won't go into an average secondary school in Guyana and you will find that, we have a computer laboratory with 100 computers, all internet ready, and children are being able to use it almost at any point in time during the day to do research and to do coding, writing programs, learning database, the design database, learning how to network. You don't find that at most schools in Guyana. So that is where we need to spend our revenue to ensure that we reach that stage, somewhat like the schools that you have here in America. Right? We have a few private institutions in Guyana, but we want the public institutions to have those facilities in place too, so that the average child, the average parent who cannot pay to send their child to a private school, that they can go to a government school, a public school, and they can get those facilities. So I see technology as the key towards, especially in that age group that you would have mentioned. Because that is the time when you have to ensure that the young minds are geared towards using new technologies. For example, programming or coding. I don't believe we have, I can probably count them on my fingers how many programmers we have in Guyana, who can actually work in an international company and prepare programs or coding for systems. One or two. So even in an area like that, creating database, building out networks, setting up like an ATM machine. Sometimes you got to bring in people from overseas just to set up an ATM machine and to code it and everything. So those are simple things, but we have to build capacity and to actually do it. I think Dr. Ramsrup wanted.
No. The president made an announcement the other day that he is instituting coding and software development from primary school and secondary school starting this next year. So we are, as the minister said, pushing on that. But it opens the door too for both private. We talk about public sector here, but the private sector. I mean, Texela University head was here. They have a large university in Guyana. Private universities are welcome also in the country. And so there's some need for that also.
Planning just years ago to move the Georgetown city to another area. And we would like to know how is the planning, because you will move all the city, because the Demerara River has some complications, because it's shallow, and doesn't matter you remove the bridge, but if you go more distance from the coast, the channel will reduce and complication for the for the ships.
No,
What about the city that you will move? How is the plan?
All right, so for us, it's not moving the city. We are not going to move anything away from Georgetown as it is. We are going to build out a new city, a secondary city. And you're right, more inland or more on the highland. It's an area identified already, close to our international airport. I think it's just a few minutes away from our international airport. We have already identified the land. We are working towards the layout. It will be a smart city and a green city, as a matter of fact. We're hoping that everything could be powered by renewable energy. It will be a futuristic city. That is our plan, to build it out like in that manner. So no, we will not move Georgetown from where it is right now. We have been investing in a lot in our infrastructure in terms of sea defense, in terms of our coker and sluices and our pumps, because yes, we are very low, and with climate change and the rising sea level, it do pose a problem for us in Guyana, especially on the coast, and you probably saw it on news and television. But we are working towards building out the infrastructure too, to have proper sea defense, or to reinforce our sea defense, and to have more pumps and sluices so that we can drain the land as fast as possible, to have better holding areas, to increase the volume of the holding areas. So we have plans in place. We are also doing two additional canals to what we did prior to 2015, which we call the Hope Canal. We are doing 2 additional canals similar to that, which will assist a lot in flood alleviation, especially on the coastline. But we are working towards building that new city. To date, we have already identified the land, as I mentioned. We are working on the design and the layout. Very soon we will be going out for potential investment or investors in that new city. Housing is one, hotels, recreational facilities, infrastructure. These are all areas again, and I think you actually raise an important point, because that will present a number of opportunities for investment. But it's a new city, and we're not moving the city to another place. Right, we have identified the land, but we're in the planning stages right now. But it will be a city, a modern city, a smart city, as I mentioned, renewable energy, full use of that, hotels, golf course. We're trying to, actually, to be quite honest, we're trying to model it more like a Florida, Miami kind of style housing scheme. We already have a few in Guyana. Right? We always look up to America. So we try to model ourselves off of America. To be quite honest, sometimes we get into problem for that, because Guyanese living in America, when they go back to Guyana, they expect Guyana to have all the facilities that we have here in America. So sometimes it's very unfair to us as a government, because Guyana is often compared to America, but there is no way we can compare Guyana to America, right? With the facilities and the training and every education system, your healthcare facility. There is no way we can even attempt to compare Guyana with America, but we can try to develop Guyana, to a standard where everybody can enjoy a better life.
All right, I think we've exhausted our time. Thank each and every one of you guys so much for joining us here today, and for sharing with this group your thoughts about Guyana and your vision for its future.
Thank you.
Land of Guyana, of rivers and plains, made rich by the sunshine and